everybody. Welcome to the show. I'm here to welcome you to Financial Therapy for the Week. Today we have Crystal Zuzek with us. Crystal is an inquisitive and skilled magazine editor living in Austin, Texas. She's passionate about health and wellness and served as editor-in-chief of a medical association magazine before running her own freelance business for 7 years. She holds a Bachelor of Journalism degree from the University of Missouri-Columbia School of Journalism, an award-winning journalist and author of Business Basics for Physicians, which I have read. Zuzek is past vice president of freelance programming for Women Communicators of Austin. When she's not writing, she enjoys spending time with her husband and little boys. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, absolutely. So one thing that I like to do with my guests the first time I have them on the show is just to do a little origin story episode. And so I have sent the questions in advance so that we're prepared. But it's really just a discussion because so many people, how they feel about money, how they interact with money comes from how their family interacted with money when they were growing up. And so I'm just fascinated by those stories, and I'm very interested to hear yours today. Yeah. So what is your money origin story? How did your family deal with money?
Yeah, from a financial perspective, I had a very ideal setup. I was really, really lucky. We were really privileged. My dad's retired, but he was a physician, practicing medicine in the 80s and 90s in a small city in Missouri, and he worked a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of hours. He had a solo practice, so he was like
the quintessential small businessman, really.
Yes. Yeah. Constantly working. So I guess we were categorized as upper middle class. So, you know, we really, like, I didn't worry about money, which is a really privileged, blessed position to be in. We belonged to a country club. I was in gymnastics. I took dance lessons. My brother did Little League and played soccer. We tried various instruments at different times, so
it's like the money wasn't even a consideration because you were just kind of living life, doing your thing.
Yeah, like we didn't have to worry that.
So it's so interesting that as we're talking about it, though, you're going, like you're guilty. You feel guilty.
I think I do feel a little guilty because I mean, when you're a kid, you just, at least for me, I just sort of thought everyone is in the same position.
Right.
You know, you don't realize there's basically like a class system, or that not everyone gets to go skiing on spring break, or not everyone's parents can afford gymnastics lessons, things like that. I mean, I became more aware of that as I got older.
Sure.
But, I guess there is... Yeah, right. I would just still be... I would be such an asshole, really. But, I guess maybe there is a little bit. I mean, but it was wonderful. It was, that's a nice way to grow up.
It's a wonderful way to grow up. And I think, more than feeling, guilty about it, it's, okay, I experienced that. What do I want my kids to experience?
Yeah.
And so I think about that a lot when I'm thinking about childhood and even just kind of the way that my family went through good times and bad times. Things were different. The way that we dealt with money was different depending on the circumstances, so your dad being a physician and having that kind of solid rock of a career is a huge thing, right?
Yeah.
To how that all was able to work. I think it's really interesting now. There's not really a whole lot of ways that you can be a single earning household and have that same level
I know,
of
it's so
lifestyle,
different now because my mom did not work outside the home. So but I mean, that's not to say she sat around and, watched soap operas. Sure. She wasn't doing that. Like, she really took her job seriously. She was the bookkeeper for our family, so she did all the finances.
Okay.
And she just ran, what it's like. I mean, she ran the household, and she made sure that my brother and I, got to our sports, stuff on time, and that we had all the things we needed for whatever was going on in school that week. I mean,
What
she
it
took
is
it very seriously.
It's more resources means more responsibility for managing them, and she, it sounds like, did a great job at that.
Yeah, she did.
So that's really interesting. So your dad was earning the majority of the hard dollars with his work, and then your mom was managing those dollars. So did they ever talk to you about how to manage money or how much things cost? Or
so yeah, my parents are baby boomers, and I think that they were pretty solidly middle class growing up, from what I can tell. There wasn't they didn't have things given to them. They didn't have generational wealth. There was no trust fund. There was no, major inheritance or anything when my grandparents died. So everything they had, they truly worked for and earned themselves.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a cool, American dream story in a way, I guess.
Right.
Even though they weren't immigrants, they still did that for themselves. So they, they provided for all of our needs. So we weren't worried about the electricity bill being turned off. We could always get new clothes for school. We could do our activities and take swim lessons and all those kinds of things.
Yeah.
But if there was anything extra that we wanted, I remember it was a really big deal when Nintendo came out. And my brother especially really wanted a Nintendo, and it was expensive.
Oh yeah.
I think it was over $100, which in that's 80s, 90s, 90s
that's
money.
Big.
It's a lot.
Deal.
Yeah. So they made us do chores and earn money for that. So we had to save up money for that.
Oh my gosh, how long did it take you?
I think it took a couple months.
Okay.
And I gotta be honest, I think my brother did most of the work, because
he was motivated.
He was way more motivated than I was. I was like, what is Nintendo? Why is this a big deal? I don't really care.
Seems cool. I mean,
I did a few things to pitch in, but
because you're so helpful. You're like, okay.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't remember what I did, but I know I did do a few things to help out, but he really did the bulk of the chores to earn the money for it. He was, like you said, very motivated. And I remember he wanted some Air Jordans when they came out, which were also really expensive.
When you were saying $100, I was thinking that in my mind.
And so he had to save up money for those. I don't know, I guess I wasn't as ambitious as he was, because thinking back, a lot of the extra stuff was things that he wanted, but I'm sure there was something I wanted. I remember in high school I wanted to go on a ski trip with friends, and my parents made me pay for it.
Okay.
So I was waitressing, and I saved up a ton of cash and tips, and I was able to pay for that trip.
Oh, nice.
So just, they weren't just handing out things left and right. It wasn't oh, you want this? Here you go. There were certain things that we did have to work for, and then there were chores that we were just expected to do that we did not earn money for. We had to wash the dishes every night after dinner. Mm-hmm. We had to keep our rooms clean. We did have a cleaning person, but my mom always told her, do not touch my children's rooms. That's their responsibility.
Good mom.
So if our room was dirty and the cleaning person came, it didn't matter. She wasn't going to clean it up for us. So, I mean, they weren't, I think there was also this fear that their kids were going to turn out spoiled, which now we say entitled.
Right.
So they really, really worked hard to make sure we knew that their money was theirs. It was not ours.
Yeah.
And so if there was but I mean, they were very generous, with Christmas gifts and birthday gifts and birthday parties and things like that. But, I think they wanted us to know that you have to work really hard for what you want and what you have. And when we turned 16, they make us get jobs.
Oh.
So I had to work during the school year and during the summer.
Wow.
Yeah. I got my first job at McDonald's, which is hilarious to me. I I was horrible at the drive-thru. I could not understand what anyone was saying. It was terrible. I was so
I'm trying
bad.
to imagine you.
I had like the headset and I was like, what? What are you saying? So anyway, they took me off drive-thru eventually, but yeah, so my first job was at McDonald's and my parents made me pay for my car insurance.
Oh.
Which was like
okay.
astronomical
Yeah,
because I was 16.
Yeah, exactly.
And so like every penny I made went to my car insurance basically.
Wow.
They bought me a car, but I had to pay for the insurance. And
Well,
it was in my
that's
name.
A smart move. That's a smart
so
move.
I think they were also afraid if I had a wreck and I hurt someone that they were going to come after them and sue them. So like everything was in my name.
Oh my gosh, how funny.
I know. So that was probably part of it. But yeah, and then after that I worked at Pizza Hut as a waitress, which I really liked that so much better because I got tips.
Yeah.
And at the time, people didn't tip on their credit cards. So I was like making cash.
Tips.
Yeah, and I had
nice.
a cigar box in my closet that I just kept all the money in. And I would like count it out and like put on a little post-it note how much was in there because I was afraid my brother was going to steal some of it. So I always
fastidious.
knew. Yeah. So yeah, I'm trying.
So did you save it? Were you a saver then?
I was.
And then towards trips and things like that?
Yeah, and my mom opened, she helped me open a savings account, I think when I was in high school, and I would put a little bit of it in the savings account.
Okay.
And then I'd have my, stack of cash, and I would just, because I mean, there were like, I would want to like go out with my friends and go shopping at the mall, which used to be a thing.
Yeah.
And I wanted like certain brands of jeans or like shoes or whatever that I knew my mom probably wasn't.
It was great. Well, my first job was actually in retail, so it was like
nice.
In one pocket, out the other. But yeah, that freedom to be able to purchase things that you want, that like if you were to ask your parents, it's going to be frivolous. And
it's going to be a thing.
Okay, I will save it and do it
myself.
myself.
They're going to be like, you want a $50 pair of jeans?
Yeah.
Which at the time was ridiculous.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Crazy.
So like I could just buy that for myself if I really wanted it.
Yeah.
But I also was mindful of how much I had to work to get that $50.
True.
Like I would have to wait on a lot of tables to get that $50.
So
they just wanted to make sure that we understood that. And then also having those jobs really motivated me to go to college because especially when I was working at Pizza Hut, it was in a little lake town, so like in the summers it was extremely busy. And people would there was actually a boat dock at the Pizza Hut, so people would dock their boats and walk up the hill to come eat pizza. It was like an experience.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And so it was really busy in the summers, and then in the winters it was like dead, and you hardly made anything. And so I would see.
I need something more stable, maybe.
Yes, and I would see these women who, they were in their 30s, 40s waitressing and just barely getting by, struggling, and just seeing that was really good for me because I was like, okay, I need to get an education. I need to get out of here. I don't want this to be my life.
Yeah.
So I think it was a smart move for my parents to have me work.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, because I was like, I don't want to end up, and not to like put those women down, but it was hard. I could tell how hard it was
harder.
For them. Yeah, they didn't have health insurance.
Yeah.
A lot of them had deadbeat husbands or like, they just didn't, everything was a struggle. Like getting your car fixed was a struggle, and I realized that's a lot of people's reality. And I think it was good for me to see that. So I was like, okay, I'm going to work hard.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's really interesting too that you're saying that because your parents did do such a great job. They gave you lots of opportunity, it sounds like, but they also were like, we're going to put you in situations where you can figure out for yourself what you need to be doing and how things need to go in order for you to have what we have built.
Yes, exactly.
Very smart parents.
Yeah. And then my mom, I guess, she taught me financial literacy to some degree. Before I went to college, she taught me how to balance my checkbook.
Okay.
So this is like
the basics.
Back in the day when you have the little paper register,
Yeah.
I would write everything I bought in that little register. And she taught me how to like basically reconcile it with the statement the bank sent you every month. Again, this is the 90s, so we're getting mailed statements.
Yeah.
And I would do that in college once a month. I would sit down after, in the evening after class, and I would balance my checkbook. And if something was off, I would call the bank or whoever and try to figure it out. Like, I mean, it was,
gosh.
yeah, but
adulting.
I was adulting.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for your mom.
I know.
That sounds fabulous.
And she kind of taught me how to use a credit card. I got in trouble with it a couple times, and I was really, really lucky that she bailed me out. And again, it wasn't anything crazy, but it was still like, okay, this is more than I can pay, and I need to be mindful of that. Yeah.
This is not cash money. This is actually
exactly.
Yeah.
So I, that helped me learn just about, I don't know, I feel like they did a good job of teaching us like the value of money. I'm from the Midwest, so they were for the most part, they were very practical with their money.
Mm-hmm.
Like they would buy things that would last for a long time. They weren't just like buying the most expensive car every 2 years. Or,
and it also sounds like they were investing in you.
Mm-hmm.
They made sure you guys were well enough educated, and supporting that education to get yourself ahead.
Yeah.
So like lots of really good just kind of like value of money, work, work ethic, that sort of thing being passed along to you, in addition to having, a cushy childhood.
It was nice. And they if there was like something we wanted to pursue, like track or gymnastics or baseball or like learning an instrument, or they were also very supportive of that.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like, I took tennis lessons, I took golf lessons, I did gymnastics, I did dance, like I said, swim lessons, like just, I don't know, like those are things that I think a lot of us take for granted, but that costs money.
Sure.
All of that costs money. Yeah.
No, yeah. Thankfully, my parents were very similar, but I was actually telling my sister this story the other day where I was very good at flute.
Ooh.
And I had private lessons.
Nice.
And then one day the instructor had the indecency to suggest that I might be a professional flute player.
Oh
and
my!
My mom was like, "We're done with lessons."
Oh no! That's so sad.
No, it's like the sign of my parents, because on the one hand, it's wonderful having all of these extracurricular activities and things like that, but like her mind and my dad both, they're very practical people, and so they were like, this is great, and she can be good at flute all she wants and play in the band and whatever, do solos, but this is not a profession that is actually going to be, sustainable and stable. And so again, that value around not just the money itself, but like what you should put your time, energy, effort into, what you need to see of the world, was important.
Yeah, at some point it became obvious I was probably not gonna like get a scholarship to college for gymnastics or be like the next Simone Biles. So that was like, but it was okay, because then I could transition into cheerleading, so it was really good for that.
Exactly.
But my parents, before I went to college, my parents sat me down and had this like very like intense, serious discussion with me where they were like, okay, we're sending you to college, and I'm very lucky they paid for everything. They had the ability to do that. I don't have loans. I'm so, so grateful for that. But they were like, we are investing a lot of money in this. What are you going to do? And I was like, I don't know. And they're like, okay. And they like opened the course catalog, and they're like, okay.
This.
They're like, okay, do you want to do this? No. Do you want to do this?
And this is both of them?
Yes.
Oh my God.
It was really intense. It was really intense. And I was like, Well,
They're not fools.
And
they are like, we're investing.
I know.
Let's make sure it's a solid investment.
Because they knew, I think they had friends whose kids went off to college and it took them like 6 years to graduate, and they were like, we are not doing that. Here. You get 4 years of undergrad. That's it. And so we eventually, they eventually talked to me like, okay, what are you good at? What are you not so good at? And we landed on journalism because I was good at writing and communications and all that kind of stuff, and I liked literature and all of that kind of stuff. So I kind of would probably do better in that sort of a career, and it worked out well.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly. You know what? Well. I think that's a much better. I mean, honestly, all of the extracurriculars too are also helpful in figuring out like where you want to be. Like, am I really dedicated enough to be a flautist? My mom knew I wasn't, so she's like, no, she's reached the pinnacle. Good job. Yeah. So like. Same thing with you. Like, you're going through all of these extracurriculars. You're wondering, like, is this actually going to be a sustainable career? Okay, right. It's not. Yeah. Okay, what are you going to do? We're willing to invest in you, but it's got to be something that you are actually dedicated to. Yeah. And what a great job they did. Yeah, that's excellent.
I know. At the time, I just remember it was so overwhelming, just because, I mean, that's a huge thing that we're asking adolescents to do, basically. Sure. You're 18 and you have to decide what you're going to do with the rest of your life. Right. Luckily, it turned out to be, I guess, the right path for me. I'm still working in that field in some capacity, and I do enjoy it. But, they just... Oh, and my dad told me I had to keep my grades up. I think I had to, get above a C average every semester, or he was going to stop paying.
Have they met you? A C average?
I know.
Come on.
But, I mean, I did party my second semester of freshman year, and my grades tanked, and that was, a huge wake-up call, and he was like, okay, we got to get this back on track, or we're not going to... And I knew they were serious. I knew that if I started failing out, they were not going to pay.
I think this is such a golden story of parents who have resources but legitimately have a great balance and a thoughtful approach to how to teach their kids how to be responsible about them. Yeah. It's not always about the specifics of you need to budget, or you need to pay this back, or you need to, because you're a kid. You're you're saying, you're an adolescent, and I'm pretty certain that if you had been like, oh my God, I hate journalism, it's terrible, I've tried my best, but I actually want to do this, that they would have gone with you down that path.
I think they would have, yeah.
But the point is the thoughtful approach to how you're spending their money is okay, that is part of the conversation. That's really great. Yeah. That's really great.
But they never were specific. They were never like, your dad makes this much money. And because that was another thing, you don't talk about money. And you don't show off your money. Right. They tried very hard not to do that. Like I said, they didn't buy the most expensive cars, or we didn't, we would go to St. Louis for our summer vacations, not Paris, stuff like that. So so they were very, I guess it's just a very Midwestern, maybe baby boomer, practical kind of approach. Yeah. And, they would splurge occasionally on nice things for themselves. They would take a nice trip abroad or something like that. But I don't know. I always felt like there's a limit to this. There's a boundary. Yeah. It's not just, woo, let's spend crazy.
Well, and it can't be. Right. Despite the fact that you guys were upper middle class, and it sounds like firmly so, there is always a point where you can overspend.
Right, exactly.
There are very few people in the entire world who make enough money to just literally spend on whatever they want. Right. And those people, who those people are.
Yeah, we know who they are.
Yeah, exactly. So, everybody has a budget and a limit, and budgets are boundaries, as I like to say. Yeah. And I think your parents had a very good approach to how they counsel you guys with money.
Yeah, I think they did.
What else about your childhood origin story do you want to share?
Gosh, I'm trying to think.
Well, let's talk about what your money moment in life is then.
So I guess I wish that I'd realized the role money plays in personal freedom. Yeah, I guess, I mean, I think I sort of was getting it to some extent, but not really. I don't know. I guess as I've gotten older, I've realized more and more how if you have a good financial foundation, that just sets you up to have so much more freedom. And I realized that in 2017 when I wanted to leave my job and start my own freelance business, writing and editing freelance business. And
I know what I want to do. Oh,
yeah.
Crap.
Yeah. So I had saved up quite a bit of money as like a little cushion to have. And I talked with my husband, and I was just like, I really want to try this. I'm not really feeling fulfilled where I am right now. And we agreed that I could try it. And if we hadn't had like that talk about our finances and planned for that financially, and been in a pretty good spot, that wouldn't have been possible.
Yeah, and with him in a stable position also. Yeah. I think it's such there are so many couples that I know that I'm like, oh, see, that is how it's supposed to work is, sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down, sometimes you want to make the risky move, sometimes your partner does. And that's a perfect example of, he was really the rock for a little bit.
He was, yeah.
While you did this thing, but like you're saying, it had to come with a little bit of, because I happen to know him too.
Yeah.
You guys are both very, you're stable people. You're not going to just jump out on off the cliff.
We're not huge risk takers for the most part. Yeah.
So it did have to come with, like you said, you saved up. You kind of had this consideration of whether this was the right move, and then you had a plan. Like there was a very real thing happening with your business development and getting jobs and how you were going to work and everything like that. So but I totally agree. I think that's something that I think a lot of younger people should probably pay more attention to, is how much that little bit of savings can help, how much that little bit of mindfulness about where you want to go can help. Because having that financial support when you do want to make a move or make a change is the freedom to be able to like consider other things other than being stuck where you're at.
Yeah, just having your basics covered, like you can pay your mortgage and your electric bill and blah 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 blah. Like you've got that covered, and you've got some savings, and then you've got a little bit left over for some fun things here and there. And then having, like you said, my husband who's got like a good full-time job, who can, I can go on his insurance, and he can, still bring home his paycheck, and I can do this thing that I've been wanting to try. Just having that freedom it's wonderful. And especially for women, we can pivot in our careers, we can leave relationships that don't serve us, we can give to others who are in need, we can solve problems. I don't know, I didn't really think of money in that way. I guess I just sort of thought, like, you work and you get a paycheck and you save your bill, you pay your bills, and that's that. But it really does give you a lot of freedom if you approach it the right way.
This is my passion project, and that's what I'm investing in is something that does help me feel free, and no, that is absolutely the case. This book, The Psychology of Money, there's a chapter in there where essentially the guy makes $12,000 a year. He's able to generate $12,000 a year, and he calculates, I spend about $1,000 a month, so oh my God, I'm financially free. And I'm like, that's an interesting concept. It's really just about being able to generate enough money doing what you hopefully love. as much as you actually spend or have to spend. And so even making just $12,000 a year, he felt that financial freedom that probably eludes people who are making, $200,000 a year if they are overspending and not understanding where their money or their investment is going. Yeah. So interesting. Yeah. Okay. Well, so on a scale of 1 to 10, do you want to answer this question? 10 being the most positive. How positive is your outlook about your own finances?
Oh gosh. I probably like an 8 or a 9. I mean, I think we're doing really well. And my husband and I talk about this pretty often, especially with the economy the way it is now. Like, and we'll get into this more in our discussion about money dysmorphia, but it's just crazy how much money we're spending on food, for one thing. Like, the price of food has gone up so
rocketed
much.
Yeah.
And I'm always like, are we okay? Are we doing all right? And he's very analytical, and he has spreadsheets, and he'll look and he'll tell me, like, we're okay, we're all right. And so, yeah, I think I feel pretty good about it. But there are times where and I'm sure a lot of people feel this way. It's like, where's all our money? It's like we're working so much, and combined income, we're doing pretty well, but it's just like, where does it all go?
Well, and then the second question that I always think of is, oh my God, what are people who are making less doing? What are they doing? Because I am like shocked at the price of milk and eggs.
Yeah.
So how is it that like another person making half or a quarter of what I'm pulling in, how are they feeding their family? And
something I've noticed is a lot of younger people I work with do not live in Austin. So we're in Austin, Texas, and it is ridiculously expensive to live here now. Yeah. It didn't used to be that way. Real estate is really pricey. And so I think a lot of people are just making different choices. And these aren't people who are poor by any means, but it's just,
well, that's
if you're looking at buying a home here, it's like, do you have enough for a down payment on $1 million? I mean, that's basically what you're looking at.
Yeah. Although I have seen house prices coming down, because I think at this point it's kind of getting unsustainable.
And I've noticed that a lot of the places like in our area are on the market for a long time.
Yeah, exactly.
So things have definitely slowed down.
Yeah.
But rent has gone up.
Yes, exactly. And that does not change for the bulk of people. Well, and it's sad because even as home prices go down, people can literally not afford to buy, to put a down payment, to, go through the interest rate process.
Oh, I know.
So, prices can come down all they want, but the rest of it is
the interest
still a stretch. So, well, if you could change one thing about your finances, then what would it be?
I'd love to find a bag of money.
Obviously.
I have a good friend from college, and we joke about that all the time. We're always like, hey, have you found that bag of money yet? Or like a few bags of money? Like a giant bag of money? I mean,
enough to share? Because I'm here.
So I wish we need to... This is something we also talk about. We need to be putting more in the college savings accounts.
Yeah.
We were paying so much for rent and, I'm sorry, not rent. We were paying so much for daycare and private school for my older son that there just wasn't a ton left over to put in.
Yeah, and that's a fair trade, to be honest. That's a fair trade. You're supporting them now, and then you'll get to the future later.
Yeah. So I guess the college savings accounts, we need to start putting a little bit more in them for sure. But I feel like if that's our biggest worry, we're still in a pretty good place.
It's true. Yeah. Because they are young. They have lots of time. Time is on their side.
Yeah.
And you guys have to retire at some point.
Oh,
so.
And my oldest tells me, don't worry about saving for college, Mom. I'm going to be a comedian. I'm gonna be a
It's
professional
like the
comedian.
flute. It's like the flute.
Yes, and
Don't
I'm
believe
like,
that.
I'm like, okay.
He could be really good and still.
Well, what I tell him is, comedians are really smart, and I mean, most of them are.
It's true.
Like,
Yeah.
they're not
The
dumb.
good ones are.
The good ones.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, you probably should go to college and learn a few things because comedians are smart. I don't know if I've gotten through to him on that yet, but it's
Oh
really
my
funny.
gosh,
He's like,
I
oh,
love
you
it.
don't need to say for me.
Yeah, I got this.
Yeah.
You know what? Let him feel that, believe that in his soul. He
Yeah.
will, yeah.
Yeah.
Because even if it's not being a comedian, that empowerment of, you know what? I'm okay. You don't have to worry about me.
I
I'm gonna
know.
figure it out.
Yeah.
That is really awesome.
It's great.
Yeah, what great confidence. Good
Yes,
kid.
he's got that.
Good kid.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anything else you want to share?
I don't think so. I mean, Pat was like, don't give away like really personal details. And I was like, okay, I'm not gonna like start spouting off numbers or whatever. So I don't think I went too far.
No, you did good. You did
yeah,
good.
yeah.
Oh, that's so funny. All right. Well, thank you so much for
Yeah.
joining me, Crystal. And thank you all for listening. We'll be back next week with another episode.